All right. It's Thursday,
Is it?
February 13th,
Oh,
4:47 p.m., the first ever
yeah. We late afternoon in it.
late afternoon pod.
That's good.
We'll see how crazy this gets.
Wild.
I got beers in the fridge now, should we? No, okay. We'll slow down. This is the AC Sports Podcast. My name's Derek Ahlswede.
I'm Ross Field. Thanks for hopping in and listening to us turkeys.
This is episode 10, YouTube episode 10 of the pod.
That's cool.
Thanks to all 58 of you who have subscribed.
We're getting there.
Viewership's been good, and I'm excited for episode 10 here. We took a week off,
Yeah.
as did the NFL.
Yeah.
We coincided. And now, instead of everyone else talking about the Super Bowl Monday morning, boring, we wait till Thursday to talk about the Super Bowl.
A lot's happened
When
since
everyone's
we were
waiting
on
for
a
it.
pod.
I like that.
You know?
All right. I got to ask, Ross. Number one theme, number one takeaway from Super Bowl 59 for you.
Oh, Super Bowl 59. So many stories.
What stands at the top?
It stands at the top. I mean, epic halftime show.
Oh, wow. That's not football related.
Kendrick was amazing.
Timely.
Really enjoyed that. Yeah, and just I would say no three-peat. Just an absolute masterclass by Philadelphia, controlling the game in the trenches and pushing Kansas City around on offense and defense, where it seems like it mattered most in this game, and put a lot of pressure on Mahomes. Vic Fangio not dialing up any blitzes, dropping everybody in a coverage and letting his dogs on the D-line eat, and boy, did they. Totally controlled the game. It was phenomenal. Okay,
so the no three-peat is your headline. I like that.
Okay.
I like that. I mean, to me, it's obviously Jalen, the Jalen leap, silencing everyone.
Yeah.
No more questions anymore. That's what I love talking about the conference championship games is I like when there aren't questions anymore. I like when things are decided on the field. That's why we love sports. It's just decided.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes there's some controversy with refs and whatnot. There wasn't this week, thank God, but
yeah, that was interesting. That was another storyline.
We had a tough start with the refs.
They
First
did.
play. Thank God that didn't become a thing. For me, I mean, look, aside from the Commanders making it obviously and winning, the perfect game for me as a fan, right?
Yeah.
And frankly, I mean, I was out in public. I think you were out and about in town,
a little
right?
bit, yeah.
Everyone hates the Chiefs.
Yeah.
There's this.
Yeah.
I forget who I heard saying that, Chiefs aren't as hated as much as this team or that team. Like, yes, they honestly one of the most hated teams, just in a sports sense that I've seen in a while. It is funny how, I don't know if this is an American thing, but like, we don't want people to stay at the top too long.
Yeah.
Like, we hate it.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. Like, we love success more than anything.
I think it depends.
Okay.
It depends on the team. I think when a team keeps winning, then you're like, you get slightly annoyed by it. But when a team keeps winning in the way that the Chiefs have kept winning, it gets extra annoying.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, somebody brought up like the 90s Yankees and how hated they were. And
that's another one, just because they were spending so much money compared to other teams then.
Which is the Dodgers now.
Absolutely. If the Dodgers kept winning, it'd be like, dude, this is ridiculous. It already is like that.
Right. The Lakers aren't dominant enough to be in that conversation, but them getting Luka again, I mean, especially as a Warriors fan, I'm more jaded as a Kings fan, so I'm like, we don't win anyways, but you're in contention usually, so I feel like the Luka trade kind of pissed you off a little bit.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think they're going to have a really hard time winning a championship this year because they're going to have such a glaring hole on defense if they're playing both LeBron and Luka at the same time.
Well, and that one center trade got rejected. I forget.
Yeah, the Mark Williams deal, that hurts them a little bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, but future-wise, Luka, global star with the Lakers, I don't know. I think winning kind of changes everything. I don't really care that much. The Warriors, I've seen them win.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, there's a window there. Once you win for a while, you can't be too upset.
Yeah, for a while. We'll see how it is in 20 years if the Warriors haven't won and these kind of things are happening.
I look forward to talking about Jimmy Butler later in the podcast.
Okay.
So, let's stick to the Super Bowl. Jalen and Saquon, just you see him making the run on Fallon, and I mean these guys are like perfect human beings.
Yeah.
Like, what is wrong with these two men? Nothing. They're just like the most like humble. I mean, they're not entirely humble, like very confident people. Jalen Hurts especially, like he's no slouch when it comes to how he feels about himself and his abilities, but just really model citizens for the NFL, frankly. Very nice guys, very smart, articulate, mellow, look like Greek gods. So I think that's great for the NFL.
Can squat a ton.
It's just so, what I found so interesting is like, I was raised to like loathe the Cowboys from my dad. Like, and it's like our dads are like, especially if they're kind of drinkers or whatever, they kind of take out their hate. They take out all their bottled life anger on like the rival sports team.
Okay.
I didn't really love how much my dad hated the Cowboys. It's just interesting. Like I'm the opposite now. Like I have zero hate for the Eagles now. I mean, I did a little bit throughout the season, but now that they've won, I'm not bitter about it.
Interesting.
So it's again, win-win.
Yeah.
Chiefs go down epically, just get crushed. Not only was it not a close game, but they get crushed.
Yeah.
The Kendrick halftime show
was cool.
Most viewed halftime show of all time, which was surprising to me. I don't know how they calculate those metrics nowadays. I don't know if YouTube's mixed in with that and stuff now too.
And then like the next day they came out with like, this is the most watched Super Bowl ever. It's like, how do you know that? How do you determine that? Like one day later?
Nielsen ratings and stuff?
Yeah, but I mean, how do you know? How do you really truly know?
Maybe we'll get into some Kendrick symbolism in a bit.
Yeah. I thought it was, I don't know, dude. I mean, as a Niners fan, like I thought I would be happier to see the Chiefs lose. But the whole time after the game, I was thinking like, man, that should have been the Niners. Like in the Eagles' position. Like it should have.
This year?
Not this year, but last year, 4 years ago. It was like, I felt like I would be like a little bit more satisfied. But the way that the game unfolded and how Philly just completely dominated, and I feel like the Niners let the Super Bowl slip away from them last year.
They did.
They marched right down the field opening drive until McCaffrey fumbled, which was like frustrating. And then they didn't let the Chiefs score a touchdown until like late in the third quarter. And it came after a special teams blunder when the ball bounced off a blocker on a punt return for the Niners. Another fumble. Chiefs scored a touchdown the next play. They hadn't been in the end zone the whole game. I mean, it was like the Niners kind of handed that game to the Chiefs in a way. You got to give the Chiefs credit. They obviously won it, especially in overtime. But it was frustrating in a way for me. It was like, damn.
Well, and there's even the overtime blunder of deciding to take the ball.
Not knowing the rules.
No, I mean when you back that up with this season, I'd feel pretty butthurt if I was a Niners fan.
It was. I felt a little like that night. It was like, dang, I thought I'd be a little happier, but it was like,
Well, speaking of the Niners, two things: Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
little glimpses of him maybe going there. I think they're ranked third in FanDuel for places for odds of where he's going to go.
Interesting. Yeah, I can see it.
Our Steelers pick, number one by far. Okay. So we were ahead of that.
That makes a lot of sense too.
Congrats to us on that. The other Niners thing I want to talk about. Did you look at the Super Bowl 60 odds yet? Winners?
No.
Who's going to win next year?
Who?
Okay.
Eagles probably.
So Eagles plus 600. I'll just go from one down. So Eagles, Chiefs, Ravens and Chiefs are tied for a second. Bills, Lions. Okay, those are the top 5 teams.
Okay.
Now I'm thinking the NFC and AFC have 2 3-headed monsters now, right? It's the Eagles, Commanders, Lions.
Okay.
Frankly, moving forward, and then we have the Bills, Chiefs, Ravens. Right?
Yeah. Pretty
clear to me. I mean, there's some debate. There's obviously some teams that could step up and take over some of these teams, but
I need to see more from Washington to put them into the 3-headed monster.
And I'm just factoring in their off-season signings essentially, like in their
potentially,
cap space.
Could be,
and being a homer. The Niners are the 6th highest odds.
That makes sense. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's
think too high or too low?
Shocking to me. What? How? What?
How high?
This is just going off of 2 years ago? Like, I don't get it.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of it's based on you get Saleh back, and I think a lot of it's based on the roster. I mean, they're super talented still.
Okay. They're just chalking it up to injuries this year?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean,
it was a bad year.
Not too bad. I mean, obviously the wins and losses weren't great. They had some good, stories. And, I think another thing that factors into, the odds is they finished last in the NFC and are going to play an extremely favorable schedule next year because of that.
Okay, fair.
So they're going to, potentially be a high seed in the NFC if they stay healthy. Mm-hmm. If they draft well, and we'll see what happens, restructuring some contracts, bringing potentially some people in, obviously there's a question mark now with Debo. We'll see what happens with Dre Greenlaw, but, they'll have two more, they'll have a year of experienced corners under their belt, rookies that played well. Malik will step up again, in his second year. He was really playing well at the end of the year from the safety spot. You get, a lot of it's obviously going to depend on McCaffrey. If McCaffrey comes back, then, look out. I think they'll be ready to roll.
Fair. He was out the majority of the year.
Yeah.
If not almost the entire year. Okay.
And they'll need to improve the line. That's their big trouble area is offensive and defensive line. They didn't get enough pressure on the quarterback this year, and their defense kind of stunk.
I'm fine with them being like favorites to win the West, but sixth in the NFL.
Well, who do you think should be higher?
The Commanders.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. That's
what were you saying?
I was just gonna say that's like putting the Texans super high on potential to win after last season when Stroud and them got in the playoffs and made some noise, and
they won. The Texans won a first round game, and then they lost to the Ravens. If they had beaten the Ravens, sure.
Yeah.
Which is what the equivalent of what the Commanders did.
Yeah.
And you also look, the only team that beat us was the Super Bowl winning team.
Yeah.
We got whooped, some late scores, not too much different. We technically played them much better than the Chiefs in the first half of the game. Yeah. We definitely moved the ball on them way better.
Yeah.
When you consider our defense was pretty porous, honestly, this year.
Yeah, it was.
I was highly offended by these Vegas odds here.
I wouldn't. It'll probably give it'll probably give Washington some fuel.
True.
And I don't think anybody's sleeping on the Commanders. They're probably right there with the Niners in terms of odds. They're in percentages and chance to win a Super Bowl, and they're only going to get better with Jaden getting more experience and with all the cap space they have. They're going to go out and get some dogs to help. They're here to stay.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to bash on your Niners right now.
The Niners are older. Ludicrous. I think the window is, definitely much more open for the Commanders, but they're going to play a tougher schedule.
The Niners are plus 1,300, so basically you bet 100 to win 1,300. Mm-hmm. Packers next plus 1,900. Bengals plus 2,100. Then comes the Commanders at plus 22. So Niners significantly better odds to win it.
Yeah.
Then you got Texans, Rams, Chargers, Bucks.
Yeah.
I love your point, though. Good. Don't believe in us. Yeah. Perfect. Well, especially a guy like Jaden.
I wouldn't go that far. I think a lot of people believe in the
don't
Commanders.
Believe in us as Super Bowl contenders, I guess is what I'm saying.
Which
fine with
people
that.
May regret. I wouldn't put it past them to make another deep run next year.
Look, it's February 13th, and I'm fired up about next year already.
I think there's something to say about programs, teams, franchises that consistently contend, and maybe that goes into some of the determination of odds.
It does. That's
obviously the Niners.
It's not just going to go off in last year.
Yeah, obviously they had a tough year this year, but they've been there. They've been contending. They've been to 4 NFC Championship games in a row or something like that. So I think that probably factors in. They've built this, and maybe they're looking at it like last year was a fluke year with the injuries, and they would like to see more from the Commanders contending again. Same with the Texans. Same with these other up and coming teams that have good young quarterbacks. Can you build around them and contend each season?
If we didn't have $80 million in cap space, I wouldn't be as confident about redoing this.
Yeah.
But we're gonna fill a lot of we're gonna upgrade in a lot of positions.
Here's to an NFC Championship between the Niners and Commanders next year.
I was gonna say.
Yeah. And I will say there was one guy way back, like on the first or second episode of the AC Sports podcast, that was like, don't sleep on the Eagles. And there was one guy who was like, they're washed. They don't stand a chance in this division. They're washed.
I need to find an AI that can go back and find all of our predictions throughout the season. There's been some good and bad ones. The thing about the Commanders, though, moving forward in the playoffs is essentially locked into a 5 seed unless we can somehow have a better record than the Eagles.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
That means that, it is going to be a Commanders at San Francisco round 1, even if we are 13-4. That is, I guess, a little bit of a disadvantage we have moving forward.
It's so
that we have
hard.
the best team in football in our division.
Yeah, it's so hard though to part of what Kansas City's done that's so amazing is get back to the big game, not just twice but 3 years in a row. I mean, it's hard for teams to play deep into the postseason, turn it around, give it another go. I mean, there's a lot of Super Bowl hangovers that happen early in the year, the following year. I mean, we very well could see Philly have a bit of a down year next year just because they put it all out there this season and they got to strap it back on and get going the next year.
They lost Kellen Moore to the Saints.
Yeah.
That's always an issue when you're winning. You're going to lose your coordinators.
Who was non-committal to Derek Carr, by the way, which is not a good sign.
Oh, did you see that?
A veteran quarterback when the head coach comes in and doesn't commit.
That just shows me that the name of the award is perfect because even the fucking coach doesn't put respect on his name.
Yeah, I was
unbelievable.
It had me thinking okay, that's Carr's not going to be the starting quarterback because you would think a new head coach coming into a scene would give a vote of confidence to whoever's under center if he thinks this is our guy.
To be fair, I do much more prefer this is open for anybody. Make everybody work for it.
True. Good point. Yeah,
I do like that approach. That's what they did to Jaden. Granted, he was a rookie. They still that's how they treat him. They didn't hand him the keys like Caleb Williams was handed the keys. I think that definitely does have an effect.
What if someone took over? What if Sirianni retired and someone came into the Philadelphia scene and said, "We got an open quarterback competition"?
There's some exceptions.
I think it depends on the quarterback.
In case anyone's watching for the first time, the award I'm talking about is the Derek Carr Put Some Respect on My Name award. Let's just jump to it right now. My Derek Carr award this week.
Sweet.
Devonta Smith.
Okay, I like it.
I think he maybe is the second person to ever do this. Heisman, national championship, Super Bowl.
It's amazing.
170 pounds. I mean,
caught a big touchdown.
I get chills with the 170-pound thing, being a high school coach, because I mean, it's such a real thing, kids being told, even if you're a $170 and you want to play at Butte, which is our local community college, it'd still be you're a little light. I don't know if you can do that. And this guy straight up went to the best school, won the Heisman, the championship, now a Super Bowl at 170, 175. I mean,
amazing.
It's the story. I mean, this guy is kind of a legend now because he's going to be the example for high school kids across the country that you can do this too.
Yeah, and you don't have to be real big, real strong.
No.
You kind of do see
if you're a receiver, granted.
Yeah, if you're a receiver, right. Thanks for the clarity on that. You do see a lot of Xavier Worthy types kind of sliding into the NFL right now. There's some younger, fast, emphasis on speed kind of approach right now.
It's the new I think what a lot of people underestimate is once the rules change with hitting, now you can have smaller receivers.
That's it.
Now with Jaden Daniels, by the way, his risk of injury isn't nearly high as it was when RG3 was in the league.
That's so true.
So, I think about that all the time is how confident I am with this team and him moving forward, or the new rules, honestly, and that I feel pretty safe with him not getting hurt.
Yeah, I put some respect on his name is Zach Bond. Do you know who Zach Bond is?
Linebacker?
Yeah, Zach Bond.
Okay.
Came out a few years ago from Wisconsin. Them dudes in the Midwest are different. This guy was a special teams player for the Saints the last 3 years. Yeah. Signed a 1-year, $1.6 million contract.
That's awesome.
To probably essentially do the same role in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Goes hard early in the season, earns a starting spot, makes it to the Pro Bowl, gets an interception in the Super Bowl.
Oh, he was one with the diving catch.
Yeah. And wins the Super Bowl. And it just kind of had me thinking how many people have that story where you're a special teams player the year before, you go sign a contract elsewhere, you earn a starting role, you make it to the Pro Bowl, you get an interception in the big game, and you win the Super Bowl. It's that's an amazing story.
There is something about winning a Super Bowl and it being eternal or immortal too. It's living in Hollywood for a while in LA, like the narrative there was like, you're only as good as your last project, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what you did 5-10 years ago. What are you doing now? And if you're not doing anything now, you're kind of nothing.
Yeah.
It's not really like in the NFL. It's really like if you capture that pocket of success, you kind of get to keep that forever. You had it. Yeah. That's kind of neat. I don't know. That just came.
You got a fat ring too.
Yeah.
To just remind you.
It's like, capture lightning in a bottle for one season, like a bond, and like you're not set the rest of your life, but in a way, you did that, and it's gonna stay with you the rest of your life.
Yeah, I mean it's not going to get any better than the year we just had.
That's a good point.
I mean, this is the greatest year of his life. Just happened. I mean, love or having a kid could change that for sure. But in terms of like your career and playing a game that a lot of kids love to play, doesn't get better than what you just experienced. Respect.
Should we get into? Well, I mean, we haven't talked a ton about the game. I think, I sent you some Travis Kelce footage earlier.
Interesting.
There were some plays where he was just literally standing there while Mahomes is scrambling, missed tons of blocks. He just looked like he was hungover or something.
Ooh, maybe he was.
I mean, I doubt it, but it really that was my impression. Like something's seriously wrong with this dude.
Yeah, it was really fascinating.
And then today, he's all over the news after the pod yesterday, where he's really second guessing or questioning whether or not he's going to come back. Yeah. His energy seems like he's not going to.
Yeah.
Just
surprising. Maybe he couldn't hear. Maybe he couldn't hear the snap. There are. When you see the replays, it's like you mentioned, jarring. It's like, whoa, what is happening? Like everybody seems to be on like a different sort of.
It's like he's on acid or something. Like he was just like lost.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. I mean,
he was.
There's got to be a reason for it. I mean, he said after the game, like, I didn't play very well.
Do you remember? Oh, I wish I remember this guy's name. Another New Orleans Super Bowl where the guy went MIA the night before.
Barrett Robbins, the Raiders center.
Oh, he was a center. I thought it was like a safety. That might have happened a couple times.
Might have happened a couple times. And I'm thinking about the Raiders-Bucks Super Bowl. And, like a couple days before, Barrett Robbins went
and then
AWOL.
There was another, I think it was a Falcon. I want to say like Robinson or something, a safety where it's like they went out and like just genuinely got fucked up, probably did like cocaine or something the whole night before, got lost in it. God, talk about...
Yeah,
I can't even imagine the paranoia and regret from missing a Super Bowl. I don't know. It was New Orleans. Granted, I'm sure Kelce has his girl kind of checking him. He's a veteran. He's Travis Kelce. He wouldn't do something stupid like that. But that was the energy. Taylor also got booed. Not a great night for that couple.
Yeah, that was weird.
Well, I mean, everyone's tired of seeing her affiliated with the NFL, and they're not going to boo her if she's up on a stage at her own concerts. Just we don't want to see her anymore. So. That whole thing's kind of by the way, that battery's kind of out of the NFL probably now too. So maybe. Some people like that. Chiefs' effort stood out to me. And then just on a personal level, the only team that can beat us is the best team in football. So I'm feeling good about that. Should we do a little NFL honors? Okay. Did you watch that at all?
No.
Okay. Let's go over some winners. I'm sure you know who the winners are for the most part.
Yeah.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen. That's a bit of a surprise to some people.
It's kind of a Steve Nash-y MVP.
Yeah.
Where it's like we're tired of giving it, or we can't give it to Jokic again. We got to give it to somebody else.
Yeah, that's true, dude. That's true. That's funny.
I don't know if we talked about that, but I think we might have. Well, that's like a real thing. Like, do you just stop? Do you give somebody an MVP 6 or 7 years in a row if they literally deserve it, or do you have to kind of cut it off after 3? Because again. Americans do not want to see the same person on top.
No. Yeah.
So I think there's a little bit of that.
Unless you're Jokic.
He can't get it this year. No way. We got to give it to Cade Cunningham on the Pistons this year.
He's playing well, yeah.
Coach of the year.
Coach of the year. Who won it?
I think you got it. Do you remember who your pick was?
No.
O'Connell?
I
think you picked O'Connell.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, they were amazing.
Mine was Sirianni. Defensive Player of the Year.
Surtain.
Yeah.
You
got it.
Only the 7th DB ever to win that award. It's amazing.
As a all-league cornerback, always love to see the corners.
Kind of got roasted in the postseason, though. But
He did. So offensive player of the year is Saquon.
Yep.
So they do have an offensive player of the year.
Yeah.
So I guess they kind of already have what we were alluding to before, like.
Well, yeah.
The MVP really is just quarterback of the year, and then the offensive player of the year. I'm just looking at offensive player of the year now for that's my guy every year.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even care who wins the MVP. So at least Saquon got that. A comeback player of the year?
Didn't see.
Was he hurt? Was Joe Burrow hurt last year?
He missed a little bit of
time. He
did,
yeah. Browning played a little bit last year.
Yeah,
right?
but
they gave it to him.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
I guess.
I mean,
is there anyone else that comes? Who else could have gotten it? Like a Zach Ertz.
Zach Ertz, yeah, dude, he had a good year for the Commanders.
He's a free agent. I didn't realize that. He wants to come back.
It would be silly not to.
Defensive rookie, your boy, that you're gonna have to play twice a year.
Jared Verse, man. He's tough.
Why is the Eagles cornerback looting my
Cooper DeJean? Oh, that's another great story from the Super Bowl. Pick 6 on his birthday, and he wins the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
it's not going to get. Hey, that's your best birthday ever, pal. It's not going to get better than that.
Again, I'm sorry to talk about myself here, but winning all league cornerback as a white guy. Okay, in high school.
I thought you played tight end.
Cooper, I did. I got all league at corner though.
There we go.
A lot of jokes thrown around the text with me and the buddies this week with Cooper DeJean as a white cornerback. Calling him, he's the Jackie Robinson of the NFL, Cooper.
Yeah.
First white cornerback.
It's awesome, dude. It's awesome.
He's a beast. Got some MVP votes too.
Yeah.
He was my kind of, I didn't do too much research into it, but I had him for my defensive rookie of the year. Anyone else, of course, my man Jaden, offensive rookie of the year. George Kittle, salute to service.
Yeah.
Benedict Arnold Johnson, assistant coach of the year.
That makes sense.
There's a straight up rookie award instead of offensive rookie. Don't know why. Jaden got that as well. And this is the final awards. This is kind of cool. There's an air player and a ground player.
Yeah.
Air player is just going to be the MVP, the quarterback every year. So Allen gets that. The ground player.
It's got to be Saquon.
I love who won this. It wasn't.
Interesting. Derrick Henry?
No. A wide receiver got the ground player. Who beasted running the ball as a wide receiver this year like no other?
Who beasted running the ball? Jamar.
Yeah, Jamar.
Yeah.
So he got his some accolades, which I really like. Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
Eli didn't make the cut.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Eli didn't make the cut.
Elijah's going to have to wait another year.
We have 4 who did, and there's some good ones.
Yeah.
We have ex-Eagle cornerback Eric Allen.
Loved Eric Allen growing up.
He was a big 90s guy, so he was right in my wheelhouse as a teenager.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Jared Allen.
Yeah.
What are your feelings on Jared Allen?
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, he's one of those guys that's just kind of unsorta sung, unsorta known in a way. You know?
Think?
Yeah, I mean, well, he had a tremendous career, but it's not somebody that stands out when you think of like one of the best defensive linemen to ever play the game.
But I think he was one of the bigger personalities pre-internet taking over to me.
I don't know. I bet you if you asked young football fans like, who was Jared Allen?
Dude, the guy he personified 69 in a Fu Manchu. The guy he was a little bit of an asshole, I think, but to be fair, it's okay for football players to be assholes. Antonio Gates.
Yeah.
Kind of for my money, still the best tight end of all time.
Definitely one of the best. No
Him
doubt.
and Tony Gonzalez. I don't know what it is about Kelsey. I think.
Yeah.
You know, not to let the Super Bowl represent his career, but like.
Right.
If for greatest tight ends of all time, you have to be one of the best blockers of all time too.
Yeah.
Kelsey was more of a big wide receiver. Let's be honest. Dude.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think Gronk. I still like Gronk over Kelsey personally. So give me Antonio Gates, Gonzalez, and Gronk. I think is my top 3.
Molded into one. Super tight end.
Brock Bowers nipping at the heels there.
Yeah, Kittle will have something to say about that when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a better blocking tight end in football.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. Honestly, a pretty consequential year next year for the Niners.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Like if they go 9-8.
Yeah. Well, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the window would be shutting.
Yeah.
Like this close to being.
Is Shanahan even come back? Like it won't be fun.
Yeah. Shanahan's an interesting story because he's still pretty young. And, you think about Andy Reid, all those times getting the Eagles so close and then goes to the Chiefs and sort of finally unlocks for him and he wins Super Bowl champions. I could see Shanahan being on a similar trajectory that, this run with this team doesn't work out. The franchise wants to move in a different direction. He goes somewhere else,
Well, so he's made 2 Super Bowls with Garoppolo and Purdy. Mm-hmm. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But I think his regular season record overall is not that great.
Well, the last few years it's been.
Let me see here.
I mean, you would think that, I guess a couple years they snuck in as a wild card. The year they lost to the Rams, I believe they were a wild card.
Bro, he's 70-62 career.
Yeah.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
And that's after, that's after those 2 Super Bowl seasons. So before that, like under 500 guy. So, interesting.
Yeah, he had to build them. I wonder what their win-loss record is over the last 5-6 years.
Right.
It's probably better than that.
Okay. Where are we at here on time? Any more football? We got our honors in. We got some free agents. Do you want to mention a couple? We're aware of the quarterback free agents. The receiver free agents are pretty well known. Running back free agents. Aaron Jones, James Conner, Najee Harris, J.K. Dobbins, Nick Chubb. Some good guys out there.
Yeah.
Receivers. We all know T. Higgins, right?
Yeah. Debo now is probably available. Debo would be great for Washington.
But he's not available
He's
yet.
not a free agent, but he's on the trade market.
Really?
Yeah.
I think another thing you called, was Tyreek was just overreacting after the regular season. Now he's like, oh, I love Miami. I don't want to leave.
Yeah.
Like, don't say that shit after week 18 then, dude.
Yeah. Let his emotions get the best of him.
Wide receiver free agents. T. Higgins. You know who else is coming off an injury?
Who?
ACL?
Okay.
Chris Godwin.
Yeah. Godwin's solid, dude.
I love that.
Yeah.
Especially coming off an injury, might get him a little cheaper.
Yeah, true. Good point. And he gets open, man.
He's an all-pro.
Yeah, Godwin's good, man.
I think the Bucs are probably going to go hard at re-signing him, but we got Amari Cooper still. Did he make much noise on the Bills? Didn't they trade him mid-season, or was that last year?
No, the Browns traded him mid-season.
Yeah. I'm saying they got him mid-season. Yeah.
I don't think he made a ton of noise there.
He's a free agent. Diggs, also free agent, coming off injury.
Yeah.
Hopkins, kind of had an infamous kind of drop in the Super Bowl that could have kept him in it.
Getting older too.
Deontay Johnson, Darius Slayton, Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen would be nice.
Some older guys. The Godwin Diggs free agencies are interesting coming off of injuries.
Yeah.
And then anyone else I wanted to mention here free agent wise? Edge rushers, Khalil Mack. Hassan Reddick is on the Jets. Josh Sweat from the Eagles. It'd be really nice for the Commanders to take a couple. Eagles.
Yeah.
Like if we can, just even getting Sweat alone.
Yeah. Dude,
like that's the move. That's how we beat this team.
Deplete this team.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the Niners signing Javon Hargrave a few years ago away from them. And then unbelievably, Jalen Carter gets in trouble, leading up to the draft and ends up falling.
Did the Niners have a chance to draft him?
No, the Eagles ended up swooping in and basically drafting Hargrave's replacement.
Right.
But Carter was projected to be like a top 3 pick, then got in trouble and fell down to like wherever the Eagles were in that draft. And everyone was thinking like, wow. And Jalen Carter is unreal. He's really good.
I hate that personality drop in the draft shit.
Yeah. Well, I think it was like for domestic abuse or something serious.
Oh, no. He was in a car accident where somebody died.
Okay, yeah. Okay, then that's, yeah.
But my thing, it's like, you're either allowed to play in the league or you're not.
Yeah.
Dropping 10 picks, like how does that sound like sort of moral like righteousness? Like that doesn't.
Yeah.
You're still coming into the league. It doesn't make any sense at all. You're just going to a better team.
Yeah, but it's character issues. It's like I think the details of that crash, were a little murky at the time. That people maybe had thought alcohol was involved.
For sure.
They were concerned about that.
No, it was probably really bad, and he probably just was provided a very good lawyer, and he's a future NFL star, so he probably would have the best legal representation possible. We can on that note of kind of culture and character, and then we can take a break. Rodgers deemed now as this bad culture guy in the locker room. It's so many. Usually that's coming from pundits. Yeah. And usually players disagree, and usually players, when they speak about him, still love him. Even this year's Jets, there wasn't really like Aaron Rodgers is a cancer to the locker room vibe ever.
Yeah.
And he had decent stats too, by the way, this year. But there's still the word was that Aaron Glenn said, you can come back, but you're just one of 54 or 53. You can't get on interviews. Like you got to be here day one every day. And I don't know.
Something happened in training camp. He left.
What last year?
Yeah, it was like I don't know.
He always does. He never comes to early OTAs.
Yeah, but there was also something else.
He goes to his darkness retreats and stuff.
Yeah, and that's what it is. There was something there where he was like, it was like mandatory camps and that or mandatory something, and he bounced.
I think it was for the Enigma doc.
Yeah. It might have been.
But I'm saying Aaron Glenn this year was saying like, okay, no more of that.
That's what he's referring to. Like, you got to be.
And he's kind of infamous for doing that, at least recently.
Yeah.
But the thing about him going to the Steelers is like, he can't, there's no room to budge in a Tomlin locker room.
Yeah,
like,
no doubt.
It doesn't matter what your personality is.
So it probably won't be a good fit for him then.
No, I think it'd be perfect.
Well,
he'll fit the mold.
If Aaron conforms a little bit.
I think that Tomlin's the one guy to where he would conform.
I don't think so. I think at this stage of his career, Aaron would be like, I'm doing my thing.
Huh.
Well,
then he'd just be cut right away.
Yeah, well, that's what I think. I guess in the grand scheme of things, maybe it's not the best fit for him to go to a super disciplined team like that with a head coach that ain't going to take nothing.
I think it's happening.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if it does.
I'm not going, and then it'll beat Kansas City in the playoffs. It'll be amazing.
Amazing.
All right. Any other NFL thoughts before we take a break?
Sure. It was the GOAT of Gatorade baths. Sirianni got absolutely drenched. It was the best Gatorade bath I think I've ever seen. Totally deceptive. Totally threw him off. The look on his face as the Gatorade is like pouring over his shoulder is absolutely classic. You got to check it out.
Well, that's what happens when you pour it in the second quarter.
It was a little bit before, but it totally caught him off guard. Usually, around that time, experienced head coaches, and obviously Sirianni has never had the Gatorade bath in a Super Bowl before. They're kind of looking over the shoulder. This one, man, they got him good. I also was thinking about, here's some Joe Mazzulla award for you about a rule that needs to be changed or unchanged or whatever that we've talked about.
I didn't have one.
The onside kick. They recently changed it to like you can only do it in the fourth quarter. You can only do it if you're losing, and you have to tell the other team. That is so weak.
You have to do that with the new rule.
Yeah, it's so weak.
100%. It's
like,
it's ridiculous.
Why would you like the onside kick? The element of surprise. Is so cool.
It's huge.
Think about like what's literally helped make Sean Payton into the head coach he is today was calling the onside kick coming out of halftime to help the Saints win that Super Bowl. The deception.
Can I tell a quick story about that?
Sure.
About a year ago now, maybe a little less, I went to Roseville with a buddy who played college football with Hank Baskett.
Okay, yeah.
Former Eagles
yeah,
and Colts wide receiver. So we got to hang out with him. His boy was playing AAU ball, watched that, and then went out and had some beers and lunch afterwards. Awesome, right? Naturally, I'm just like asking him 100 questions without trying to be too annoying about playing days. And he told us the story. He was on the bottom of that pile in the Super Bowl.
Wow.
And the Colts. And he had the ball.
Wow.
He had it
got
clear
ripped
for a while, and then he's just talking about all
scrum,
the horrible shit that goes down under the piles, and just like nut grabs and ass crack protrusions and but it was just, I was just sitting there like, I don't know if I'll ever hear a better story straight from the horse's mouth than I lost a fumble got taken from me under the pile in a Super Bowl.
That's rough.
But yeah, that story doesn't exist with this new dumb rule.
Yeah, it's dumb.
100% like there with you.
That's a cool play in football.
It's
the sneaky
best.
onside kick. Like as a fan, when you see that, you're like, oh, dude, why would you take that away?
And then you get your badass kickers like McAfee has a couple infamous kind of the onside straight up the middle surprise stuff. It's the best.
Could you imagine like lining up for a punt and being like, hold on, we're calling a fake punt. We got to let the defense know that this is a fake punt. It's not quite the same, but you get my point, right?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. That's the king of the Joe Mazzulla make baseball cricket award. Basketball cricket? Yeah, okay.
The other one I had was Worthy caught 2 touchdowns. One was way late in the game when it was already decided. But he goes from 1 touchdown to 2. It was a deep pass. Mahomes then threw, the 2-point conversion. And it had me thinking about, like, if you play daily fantasy sports, like how much that just rocked everyone's world.
Mahomes hit the over on yards. He had like 30 in the first half. He ended up with 255 or something like that.
Yeah.
No, insane losses right there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like last-second plays in, like, games that don't matter.
On the flip side, Saquon had 50-something rushing yards
bottled up.
And no touchdowns.
Yeah.
And they in what world is if you were told that Saquon had 50 yards and no touchdowns, like, oh, the Chiefs crushed him.
Yeah, totally. But you brought up such a great point earlier in the year. Jalen stepped up. The passing game stepped up. Put a crown on him.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and talk some NBA, however much we can.
Okay.
All right. All right, we are back. Ross brought up a phenomenal point over the break that I cannot believe I forgot. What was that, Ross?
Well, I was just thinking about watching the game, how different it would be if the Commanders had got to the Super Bowl. Like, I don't necessarily think it would have been a blowout. I think it may have been a shootout.
It would have been like
a good
36-34,
right?
last second.
Yeah.
Jaden scores at the end. I have a heart attack and die happy. Like, it would have been, especially coming off the Kendrick performance, like, that would have been, I kind of dreamt about that before, but you're so right. I think that, going into the game, we felt like Chiefs defense is almost pretty much as good as the Eagles defense.
Yeah.
Like they might crush the Commanders, but man, it would have been so exciting to see.
The Washington's defense would have been interesting. They wouldn't have been as dominant as Philly, but Washington's defense played pretty darn good against the Lions in the quarterfinal round. Had a tough time, obviously, against Philly in the conference championship. How would they have played against Kansas City?
And the Chiefs' offense was so lackluster all year, to be honest. Like, they didn't really have much of a running game. Mahomes didn't even have as many touchdown passes as Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
So, no, it would have been amazing because, I think the Washington's run defense was pretty much their weakness, and KC's run game isn't phenomenal. It would have been such a good game.
It would have been. It would have been interesting.
Niners, Chiefs, not so much. Just kidding. Okay.
Probably.
Okay, we have some basketball to get to. Oh, boy.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, boy. The All-Star game is on Sunday.
Yeah.
So it's a good
in the
time.
Bay.
Good time. Oh, is it?
San Francisco.
What are tickets to an All-Star game?
Oh, they were expensive.
Really?
Yes.
Because it's like a whole weekend.
Yeah. And it's Chase Center, dude. They don't mess around.
But nobody gives a shit about the play. You know what I mean?
Kind of, yeah.
That said, though, they restructured the game this year. They have been doing this, it seems, a little bit every season.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the structure?
Right. It's 3 teams now.
Well, 4.
4 teams now, and kind of.
So first of all, we'll start with Candace Parker. So it's just the TNT crew are the coaches.
They each have, gotcha.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Candace Parker has the Rising Stars. There's like a mini tournament tomorrow. to decide who's on the team.
Yeah.
So they don't even know what that 4th team is yet.
Interesting.
That's
kind of cool.
I am intrigued. I am
intrigued.
gonna watch.
Yeah.
Each team has 9 players.
Yeah.
I forget if it's like a play to 45 type format. I think it is.
Yeah, I think it is
no
too.
shot clock. You play to a certain
You're
score.
right. They play to a certain number.
So let me I guess I'll list the 3 teams and you tell me which one your favorite is.
Yeah, I was looking at the other day. Okay.
First of all, we have 2 guys out. Okay, we have Giannis and Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
Their replacements, Trae Young got in, and Kyrie.
Yep.
Still no Sabonis.
Yeah, Sabonis is getting.
I am
the short end of the
so
stick, man.
fucking mad at that, dude.
Yeah, it's weird. It is really strange. I see how you're upset. It makes no sense.
I mean, I get that it's insanely difficult to select all-stars another day. There's so many good players.
Yeah.
You're going to have amazing players that don't make the cut, but
Every
for
year.
2 big men to go out,
yeah,
and
then you
Sabonis
don't
still
replace
doesn't get replaced, it's just, come on, dude.
That's a great point.
So that's ridiculous. Let's start with Chuck's team.
Okay, Chuck.
Oh wait, they still have Giannis on here. That must be Kyrie. Let me check this out real quick. Is Kyrie in there? Okay, this might not be updated. Okay, that must be okay. So Chuck has Jokic at the 5. Oh, and Wemby. Oof.
Yeah.
Jokic and Wemby on the same team, and Shea. God, and Karl Anthony Towns, and Sagoon. His big men are insane.
Yeah, they're
He
big.
had Giannis as well.
He just
That's
went big.
ridiculous.
He just drafted big.
Giannis replaced
Classic.
by Kyrie. So it's just Trae Young, Kyrie,
Which really helps him.
and Shea Gildress.
That team's nasty.
And then Siakam. So,
Okay.
Donovan Mitchell as well. Whew. What a team.
What
This Sengun thing. I don't know why Sengun is clearly an also over Sabonis.
Yeah, you're right. He shouldn't get in over Sabonis.
Pisses me off.
Sengun's really good though, but yeah, I agree.
Kenny's team. Oh, Kenny has 8 guys. Whatever. Kenny has Anthony Edwards, Jalen Brunson, Jaren Jackson Jr., Garland, Mobley, Cunningham, Hero, and Jalen Williams. His team sucks.
Yeah.
For an all-star team.
Compared to the other team, it
Yeah,
feels
compared to the
like
other
it. Watch them play really well together and win this thing. Chemistry.
Does Kenny know what he's doing? I don't know. Who's your favorite out of these 3 guys, by the way?
Oh, personality-wise,
No, I'm going to say
TV.
basketball intellect out of Kenny, Chuck, Shaq.
Kenny's really good.
He is.
When he breaks some stuff down, he's really good. I like Charles too. Shaq's just entertaining. That's such a great question. I would probably lean to Kenny because I think he doesn't have like a shtick like sort
Right.
of Charles and Shaq do. That they like have a persona that they're trying to emulate sort of each show. You know, they're trying to, I don't know.
They're bringing in ratings.
Yeah, they're bringing in ratings. Like it's
Kenny's
more
just
than
more
the
straight up-
analysis.
yeah,
Kenny's
100%.
just like, I'm going to say it like it is.
Their personalities.
And he's a point guard, so he kind of understands the
Right.
game a little bit differently.
But
That's a great question. Charles makes some really good points sometimes.
yeah, I think Chuck's my guy. I think
Okay.
Shaq has the worst
Yeah.
basketball IQ. I'd probably go with Candace Parker over Shaq.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, she's good.
Shaq is,
Shaq's a knucklehead up there. It's great.
I don't know how he got a PhD. It makes me kind of question the educational system. Not to beat up on Shaq. I'm sorry,
No,
Shaq.
dude.
Never mind.
Shaq's a great actor too, dude. Shazam. What was it? Kazam? Blue
We don't
Chips. Dope movie. Come on, dude. Blue Chips was sick.
How have we not had a modern Blue Chips with the NIL?
Great question.
How has that not been remade?
Okay, dude. You got an idea.
Are you were you a
Direct.
fan of the Sandler movie with Anthony Edwards, Uncut Gems?
Oh, no. I didn't see it, but I saw some
Whoa.
of like clips here and there.
Go watch that
Is it
tonight.
good? Okay,
It's
cool.
an incredible. The Safdie.
Sweet.
You know, familiar with the Safdie brothers, the directors?
Maybe not. Maybe.
Phenomenal,
Don't know.
phenomenal.
Okay, man. I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, they've
I'll
done
check
a
it
couple great
out.
movies. Okay, here is Shaq's team. I mean, to me, I think Chuck's team is. I don't even need to read Shaq's team. Oh no, so Shaq has Kyrie. I don't know why Giannis is still on here. Anyways, Shaq, we have LeBron and Curry. Oh no, Davis. Okay, LeBron, Curry, Tatum, Durant, Lillard. Oh, they're OGs. Oh, so they like had to draft. This is interesting. So Kenny has young stars. Maybe that's why they're not as good. Chuck has global stars. And then Shaq has OGs. So Shaq with LeBron, Curry, Tatum, Durant, Lillard, Harden, Jalen, and Kyrie. Yeah, most of these guys are Hall of Famers, but I guess that team could give Chuck's team a run for their money, but Chuck's team is just way too giant.
Yeah.
Okay, well, they're going to do a little 4-game tournament. We don't know Candace's team yet. I think Chuck's team's obviously going to walk away with it. You have the all the MVP candidates basically on that team.
Shaq's team's good.
Yeah.
Shaq's team's they're faster.
That said, I mean, we see the Suns now. I'll pull up the standings here. The Suns are just staying in that 11 spot. They every time I see them on League Pass, they're losing.
Yeah.
Not getting blown out, but they're losing, and it's just KD giving high fives at the end of the game in a losing performance, and I don't really feel the. I'm kind of questioning KD's motivation a little bit almost these days with his body language.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not even dissing him on that. I mean, with some people, obviously, you can hit a certain point where you're just like, I've done this for a long time. I want some chips. I want some MVPs. Like, I'm kind of collecting a check. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's when you get into guys like Butler or people that want to change teams. You do need this kind of extra level of motivation or passion to keep going, year 10, 11, 12. Shaq had a really controversial statement on that on air about, like, he was like, if I was Butler, I wouldn't be trying that hard either, even though I have a $50 million contract with the Heat, just because, I don't know my future there. They're not really going to win.
Yeah.
It's just the real life element of all that is interesting. I think that's why the NBA gets so much shit versus like a college, because that doesn't happen in college.
Yeah. Now it will with the NIL.
It can, yeah. But at the end of the day, though, in college, you're still playing your ass off to get drafted.
To get to the league.
But where are you with that? Because there's a lot. That's a pretty concrete line in the sand for a lot of people, college versus NBA. I find most people I talk to like college more because of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Where do you
I used to love college basketball so much growing up. It was amazing. Get so pumped for the tournament every year. And I do think, like you're saying, those guys bring in a little bit more because they're trying to get to the show. I watched KD week and a half, 2 weeks ago, get into it with Gary Payton in San Francisco at the Warriors game.
That's fun.
And KD gave it to the Dubs in the second half of that game just to remind Gary Payton, like, look what's up. So, I don't know. I mean, I agree with what you're saying. I do think at times it can be like these superstars are going through the motions, but, it's every now and then they'll get a little extra motivator. Someone will say something stupid and they'll be like, yeah, I'm here.
That's a great point, though. You do need – it's almost like a tactic. Put an old head in the crowd to talk shit to some of these guys to light a fire into their ass. But my question was, what are you picking? You have to choose college basketball or NBA?
I just wanted to mention that about KD, though, real quick. I would still take the NBA.
Okay, me too.
But, yeah, I do like college. I don't know. Now some of these real, up-and-coming superstars are going right to the G League. They're not playing college.
Right.
Maybe that'll change with this NIL deal and the fact that they'll be able to make more money going to college. And then it's, when we were younger, you had to play a few years of college before you got drafted. Now you just need to go play 1 year. College is hard because there's so much turnover every year. And it's hard to latch on to a team of guys that you really root for, knowing that it's such a short window that you're going to get to root for this team.
I mean, we're all rooting for a uniform end of the day, though.
Yeah, we are.
I mean, there's tons of turnover in pro level, too.
Not as much, though. It's not as frequent. It's not like every year. It's like some of these big colleges, like a UConn right now or a Duke, are literally rolling out like 5 new starters each season.
Right.
Like, it's a whole new team. These guys are just – and the transfer situation's just crazy right now with basketball and football. Like, these guys are going to these different schools, to these better situations. So there's just not much consistency in college.
I'm okay with it as long as we get complete seasons. At least like in the pros, you can get traded at the deadline. Now suddenly you're a champion. You've been on the team for 3 months or 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm okay with a hard reset every season as long as you get that one. I've just been always a fan of the better athletes in any circumstance. I mean, I get that there might be certain effort factors there at the college level that people love, and I get all that, the camaraderie and everything, the crowds, but the history with the schools, but I prefer the pros.
There's more parity in college basketball nowadays too.
That's good.
Like, it's cool when the tournament is like the greatest spectacle of all time.
Sure.
Like, it's amazing. Nothing like March Madness. And the fact that you have seen a lot more like mid-major schools make significant runs, a lot young, lesser known schools advance deep into the tournament. The Cinderella type story is always so fascinating, and I feel like there's been more of that over the last 10 years than there was, when I was a kid. So that's been cool to see also in the college game.
And in the pro playoffs, it's like, the wild card team that starts on the road and makes a run, or same thing with baseball. I was just thinking about the 64 team tournament versus like an NFL playoff. An NFL wildcard team still plays 4 games. In the tournament, you play 6, right? Not a huge difference. So it's still, I mean, because when you talked about the tournament there, it just made me think of pro playoffs, and it's effectively the same thing.
Kind of, the one and done format.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's how math works, man. Excellent.
That's how math works, and that's why it's so important to get that 1 seed and get that bye.
So let's just run through. Let's not refreshing ourselves. Let's get familiar with the standings officially on the pod. If the play-ins were to happen today, we'd have the 10 seed Warriors at the 7 seed Timberwolves, and the 9 seed Kings at the 8 seed Mavericks. What are some thoughts with those 4 teams? Our teams are in this group.
Yeah, boy, the West is insane. It's very
always is.
It's very congested in that region of the standings. It's been surprising to see teams like Memphis and Houston come out and have incredible seasons and be higher up in the standings and not in a position to play a play-in game. And I think it's going to be an absolute dogfight to the finish line. And it's tough when the Warriors win 2 games in a row. They go into Dallas last night. They play an undermanned Dallas team now without Anthony Davis, and they lose. And the losses to these teams like that are undermanned or aren't that great, don't have a good record, are going to really rear its ugly head at the end of the season for some of these teams that are in contention right now and battling for a play-in spot.
I guess my question is, out of these 4 teams, Warriors sitting at 10 now, Kings 9, Mavs 8, Timberwolves 7. Who do you see moving up? Who do you see going down? Who do you see staying?
I feel like they're all going to stay.
You think they're going to stay?
Yeah.
You don't think the Warriors are going to move up a Butler?
Well, I mean, if they move up, I don't know how significant it will be. I mean, maybe they could get into the 6th spot, but how? I mean, the standing wise, who's in the 6th spot?
So we got Clippers 6,
and they're what, like 7 games over 500?
They are 7 over 500.
Yeah.
The Warriors are 500. So
I mean, they're gonna have to make
3.5 games above the
They're
Warriors.
gonna have to make up 7 games.
No, just 3.5.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, math.
Okay, wait a second. So what's the Clippers?
So they're 3 up in the win column, 4 in the loss column.
Okay, so you said they were 7 up. So that's where I got my math. Anyways.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, they're 7 games above 500, where the Warriors are 500.
I thought you meant they were 7 games over the Warriors.
Yeah, 3.5 games.
Math is important.
But I mean, to me, it looks like the Mavs made this. What we haven't talked about the trade yet. One of the most insane trades in our lifetime.
Shocking.
They made it claiming that this gives them a better chance to win a chip this year, which I think is absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
Davis, of course, gets hurt game 1. I think the Mavs fall.
They could.
I have some big conspiracy theories here that are kind of becoming a little mainstream.
Yeah.
Should we talk about this now?
Yeah.
Well, the mainstream one is that this team's bought by some Vegas casino owners. They want to put the casino in Dallas.
Yeah.
that's definitely not a guarantee. Looks like it's not going to happen, although I hear that it still could. That surprises me because, this kind of libertarian Texas, you'd think they wouldn't care. They'd put casinos anywhere. But, it's like a sabotage job, basically. Like, let's tank the team so it helps us get them out of town easier. I don't even know if...
Do you believe that?
I don't put it past an owner.
Yeah.
I mean, we're definitely in an era of, like, the rich people don't give a shit about anybody else, even though people think they do. Or at least the people at the very top, the billionaires. Yeah, I can see that happening. I mean, if people want what they want, it's their team.
Yeah.
They bought it.
Yeah.
They don't care about any loyalty to any city. And if they want it back in their home in Vegas, I mean, the thing is, what else would make sense? Nothing makes sense on a basketball level.
Yeah.
This GM has a funny kind of resume.
Yeah.
But
I think it's absolutely ridiculous because why wouldn't they just trade for a ton of draft picks? Why would they want to literally bring in a guy who's having an amazing season and one of the best big men in the game? They could have traded Luka for like 5 draft picks and then just stockpile draft picks to make sure they tank. They recently picked up Klay Thompson. Why would they sign Klay Thompson if they were trying to tank? Like, why? Like, that whole conspiracy theory was like, well, wait a second. Like, they're bringing in really good basketball players. So, to me, that just totally debunks the theory that they are, like, trying to tank. Why would you?
I guess. I mean, Davis is injury prone. I guess if we're not being conspiratorial about it, the GM just genuinely thought Anthony Davis is the best defensive big man in the game.
Yeah.
So if you're getting the best defensive big man in the game, then it's worth it.
Yeah.
He's 31, so he's not too old. They thought, they were playing without Luka this season and doing pretty well, so there was a little bit of that. Like, we can do this without him.
Yeah.
Now, if we add Davis, we're a championship team.
Right. Why wouldn't you trade Kyrie? Why wouldn't you also trade PJ Washington? Why wouldn't you trade some of these other guys that contribute? Why would you only trade Luka? You could have traded Klay.
Because they thought, because that's the only way they could get Davis. They put such a high value on Davis is the answer at the end of the day. Because, again, they didn't shop him to any other team, which is also absurd.
Yeah.
Ludicrous.
Well, they had their guy. They had their guy in mind. I'm just saying it debunks the conspiracy theory that they're tanking.
Tanking? Well, but that's more of a fan thing, a cultural thing.
Yeah.
You get the fans to be like, to be mad at you or like to kind of just create that whole energy.
See that. I can see that.
It's not even about the kind of play on the court. It's like, these guys betrayed me. I don't even like the Mavs anymore. They lost like 1 million followers on Instagram overnight. That's not indicative of like too much, but it's those are those kind of deeper psychological plays long term.
Could be, yeah. So people don't go to the stadium. They don't, pay for the seats.
They just don't care as much.
They stop making as much money. Then it's a problem for the
think
city.
About it.
Yeah,
well,
I can see that.
But then also too, it's like people are literally like, fuck the Cavs now. I don't even like, or the Mavs now. I don't like them anymore. They did this to me. They betrayed me.
Yeah.
I don't even care about them anymore. It makes it easier to get out.
Yeah. How dare Donovan Mitchell? I would say that, like, if the Mavs get into the postseason, those butts will be filled up so fast.
A bit, but people are scarred from this. Everything dies down over time.
Yeah.
But there's a genuine scar there, and
Yeah.
So my conspiracy theory though.
Okay.
Because Cuban sells the team, and it really this was maybe about a year ago, less than a year ago, right?
Okay.
I didn't look up. I didn't research this. I didn't expect to talk about this, but Cuban sells the team.
Welcome to How I Feel Every Podcast Episode. I don't know what we're talking about.
Hey, I'm sending out docs. With basketball, I got to do a lot of research.
The last one I got was like 8 shows ago.
Because you're so damn good off the top of the head.
Well, BS, but thank you.
What time are we at, by the way? Okay, hour 5? Okay, we'll wrap soon. So, duly noted. It's a free-flowing conversation.
That's
man.
right,
it's dude. A freestyle.
But you just said I wasn't prepared to talk about this. I was like, damn, he's been preparing. All right.
True. I'm not prepared to talk about anything. So Cuban sells the team. Don't spit take. You know, we're in this volatile election year, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Cuban became kind of the face of
the
billionaire face of the Democratic Party.
Yeah, he did.
100%.
Yeah, agree.
So much so is like he's like kind of like, if we need a guy to battle the Trump world and what they're doing, go to Cuban, man. He's going to provide the best insight, the best answers, blah blah blah.
Yeah. He was all over X.
Now, where does Luka go? So first of all, he leaves the team, right? He gets out. Is it because he doesn't want to be a basketball owner, or is it because he's leaving Red Texas behind?
Ooh.
Maybe he's like, because this shit can get deep, dude.
To go to Vegas?
To go to
anywhere?
Well, Nevada is
Seattle?
blue. Nevada's blue. Washington's blue.
Yeah. Seattle makes more sense.
This is a conspiracy, to be clear.
No, I like it.
He wants to, because look, man, billionaires play long, deep games, okay? They do. This is what you got to do. So you get out of Texas, right? How could you kind of hurt the Republican Party more than anything else? Kind of have the Mavs implode. So you get out, you get your high dollar mark when this is not on anybody's radar. Now, you're still kind of involved in basketball operations, so you're still whispering in people's ears. When he was the owner, he literally said that he'd divorce his wife before he traded Luka. Like, there's some funny quote out there about that, right? Yeah. Now he's not an owner. He's involved in talks. He's not stopping it.
Yeah.
Maybe he's actually encouraging it subconsciously because he wants to tank Texas. Where does Luka go?
L.A.
He goes to California.
The Lakers.
Okay. Does that help California's economy? Fuck yeah, it does. That's my theory. I think it's all political. It's his way to battle the red and help the blue. Let's go, baby. Luka's blue. Let's go.
I like it.
We're not getting many wins these days, so I'll take it where I can get it.
Yeah, that's a good one. I thought it was kind of funny that like the whole idea or just the thought about Luka was like he's not conditioned. He comes in every year. He's got, well, it's true. He's missed a lot of time, and he's got these, small tissue injuries that seem to happen all the time. He himself has talked about how he comes into camp overweight and just kind of seems to struggle with that element. But they traded for a guy that always gets hurt.
Yeah.
In Anthony Davis. So it was funny that there was like all this focus on Luka's conditioning, but then there was kind of like this like, oh, hey, by the way, though, Anthony Davis gets, and what happens the first game that he plays in? He gets hurt. So that was just kind of comedy.
100%. And look, I mean, is he in the best shape he can possibly be? No. Is he first team All-NBA every year at 25? Yes.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a shit. I mean, the fact that he even has a higher ceiling physically, you embrace that if you're the Mavs. You don't just get rid of him.
Yeah.
And, he probably, that's one of the cool things about him being with LeBron now is like, that kind of bleeds over.
I was going to mention
workout-wise. But dude, he doesn't need to fucking work out, dude. He can be, I think one of the big jokes, like he could be ripping cigs and fucking bumping lines on the sideline. It doesn't matter.
What's the clip where he's in the locker room drinking a beer after
and Finley takes it from his hand? No, that was a really weird sign. It was a little bit like that. It was, treating him like a child a little bit there in that moment. He does seem to be. He seemed to be pretty sensitive throughout this whole trade too. You can see it on his face almost. Even still playing the last couple of weeks, he's not jubilant necessarily. He's kind of wearing it on his face.
Yeah, well,
feels betrayed.
Another thing that's like maybe a conspiracy, maybe not. But one thing I thought is that they like may have been afraid that deep down he wasn't gonna re-sign. And I know Lucas said. Lucas said, I wanted to play my life there. I know his dad has come out and said that Luka wanted to play the rest of his career there.
He bought a house like a month or two ago.
Okay, yeah. So I know all that. Like, so maybe this is not true, but just the thought maybe potentially crept into their mind that there has been some back and forth about conditioning. Maybe there's been some moments where Luka's been a little upset. There has been a clip of that guy grabbing the beer out of his hand. You mentioned that maybe they were treating him a little bit like a child. Maybe they were just like, if we can't re-sign him and he walks for nothing, That's going to be the biggest debacle ever.
Sure.
And let's trade him and at least get something back.
No, that is the Occam's razor of all this, is that, what the most likely explanation is usually the right explanation. And that's the case with any player now. You never do know if they're going to sign with somebody else. So you always, I want to say nowadays, see a guy getting traded before his contract's up if there's any uncertainty at all.
Yeah.
If you can't re-sign him right away, you got to get something for him, even if it's 60 cents on the dollar.
Agree.
And he was qualified. There's this whole Supermax situation where you become qualified for more and more money if you stay with the same team that he's not now qualified for with the Lakers. So yeah, they're going to pay him a shitload, but he's like already in like the halls of like the greats with his resume at 25.
Yeah, he's only 25.
If anybody gets a kind of contract like that, it's him.
Yeah.
But I saw Draymond and Baron Davis talking a little bit about something to do with the collective bargaining agreement, where it's like Luka's going to be worth like $80 million in a few years.
Yeah, it's going to go up. Yeah.
So
yeah,
I think that is more the realistic thing as to what happened, and maybe Mark Cuban isn't trying to tank Texas and help California.
Hey, who knows? It's fun to talk about. I mean, he's in a good spot. Now LeBron's going to show him like this is what it takes to go to the gym, and then afterwards he's going to go hang out with Leonardo DiCaprio and Timothée Chalamet, and then be able to hang out with the Jenners and maybe bag Kendall.
Well, Kim Kardashian already tweeted, "Oh, I want to meet him," which is just like instant code. We know what that means.
And he'll hang out with your boy Kendrick.
Do you have a few more minutes?
Sure.
Okay, cool. Let's. I'm just starting at this play-in. If the play-in were today, and then we can just at least go through the top 16. Well, let's finish out the top 6 teams in the West. Clippers 6, Lakers 5, Rockets 4, Nuggets 3, Grizz 2, Thunder 1.
Yeah.
Thunder seem to be the final favorites, the champion favorites.
Yeah, crazy, dude. It's crazy that the Grizz and Rockets are there.
It is. I mean, the Rockets, it's easy to say this now. Their coach was so great with the Celtics. He got pushed out for non-basketball reasons, for sleeping with somebody's wife or something.
Yeah.
You knew that program was going to be good soon because of him, I think, and they had a lot of young guys. The fact they're a 4th seed, that is maybe surprising. I kind of assumed they're going to be a playoff team by now. And they might drop a little bit, frankly. The Grizz, Ja should be in MVP conversations, considering what we saw last year when they were without him. They were one of the worst teams in the league, and now they're the 2nd seed in the West.
Amazing.
Lakers, Clippers. The Lakers, 32-20. They've been playing really well before Luka. Redick is a very smart guy, and I think they've kind of figured something out there.
I agree. They're dangerous.
They might go through a tiny dip with Luka, honestly, just kind of because they have to rejigger everything with him. But they were kind of a nice well-oiled machine with just LeBron before that. We'll see. Yeah, it's going to be interesting how this goes with Luka just this season, the rest of this season.
Yeah.
Nuggets are perennial top 3. Clippers sitting at the 6 is interesting. I mean, they're always a sneaky 4, 5, 6, no matter what.
They really are.
Beautiful stadium, beautiful arena.
Yeah, that's right. You were down there.
Okay, that is the West, unless you have anything to say about
just
those
it's going to be,
teams.
you mentioned Jimmy, that we would talk a little bit about him. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how he acclimates. I was a little questionable on the fit and just how it would all work out.
I think he's perfect.
But yeah, I mean, it's funny. I have a good buddy, Jeff, who's a great Warriors fan. And a few years ago, I was like, Jimmy's the guy they need to go get, that he'll kind of be the glue. Ever since KD left, it was 100%. Like, this guy's hungry. He hasn't won. He's got a unique skill set. He's kind of somebody that's can create more than Wiggins. Wiggins would sort of put his head down and get to the basket, but Jimmy's got that kind of extra little IQ where he knows how to draw defenses and pass. And, he's a really smart player. And it's just been cool to see in the first couple games, how he just blended right in, played really well. Doesn't seem like there's an attitude problem. Obviously they lost last night. Absolute BS call on the charge on Jimmy, by the way, in that game. Warriors have been getting shafted by the refs all season, man. But yeah, anyways, it's looking like a good fit so far. I'm a little fearful that it's a ticking time bomb, and maybe he'll punch Buddy Hield on complete accident or do something, with his temper, being on a team.
Everyone in the Warriors
Draymond.
has to worry about Draymond and Butler now.
Yeah, exactly. They're very alpha dog male kind of players on the court, and they are not afraid to get in your face about stuff. Obviously, we saw the Draymond Jordan Poole situation, so there's a little bit of a okay, I hope they can just kind of keep it under control. But he's unlocking a lot for Curry. There's a lot more space on the floor. Curry can do some things, so we'll see.
Yeah, dude, we're forgetting that Butler is an absolute finals dog. What are we talking about?
Yeah.
He shut down Giannis a couple years ago almost single-handedly. And this is just that fire into the ass thing. I mean, we're just going to see it. We're going to see the real Jimmy Butler now.
Yeah.
That we haven't seen in a while. I think it's brilliant for them. They're sitting at the 10 seed. I definitely see them climbing to a 6 seed by the end of the season.
Okay.
I love that team now. I mean, when you look at the last Warriors team that won the final, what pieces did that team have that were any better than this team? Now you upgrade Wiggins, I think. Wasn't he finals MVP or something? Yeah,
Wiggins had just an incredible postseason. And GP too.
Yeah.
And they had Otto, who was Kerr unlocked something with the starting unit. And that really helped them. But you're right.
Dude.
That team was not super duper talented. This team seems to be more talented.
Yeah, do not sleep on this Warriors team.
Yeah.
I think the sky's the limit with Kerr running the ship, as long as Jimmy's playing at his highest level.
Yeah.
Because now, I mean, it rejuvenates Curry too. This is exciting for them. As far as our Kings, I think we're going to skip the East this episode, so we'll make sure to hit the East heavy next week. We'll have more time to talk basketball. The Kings getting Levine, it's a nice 5. The whole Fox thing does rub me a little wrong. I don't really quite get it. We chose him over Halliburton a couple years ago because we had to. Well, I mean, we had both these guys. It's we have to trade one.
Yeah.
We can't have both of them on the same team. Look, we got an all-star caliber player for Halliburton, a big man, so that's great.
Yeah.
But now that we dump Fox almost, 2-3 years after this, now we have Levine and Sabonis instead of Halliburton and Fox. Okay. Levine, I mean, he has his flaws, but he does have his strengths too. It's a different kind of guard for us. I mentioned on IG, we don't normally have guards that are this long, and that is exciting. A guy that can maybe get some blocks and steals, play some defense maybe that we didn't have before.
Levine defense?
Well, just physically, theoretically.
Yeah.
I mean, he can put some arms up that Fox can't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's longer. I see what you're saying.
And he's a great shooter. And this now gives Monk a chance to be a full-time starter. I like that.
Yeah.
I kind of like our starting 5. We're just, obviously we're not in finals contention. I'm really, I don't know. I love my team, and I'm going to be watching every night. And I'm going to be, I think we have a chance to win every night just like we did before.
Yeah.
But it is just coming off that 7-game streak too, and things seem now we have Christie, things are going to click, and now we trade Fox.
Yeah, it was
just because
rough.
he was upset.
Yeah, totally.
I don't really.
It was a
get
good
it.
deal though. They got some good draft capital back, so I think that would excite me if I was a Kings fan.
2 firsts and 2 seconds.
Yeah, was it 3? I feel like we've seen this story before with DeRozan and Levine. It didn't work out in Chicago. They were teammates in Chicago.
That's right. We got both guys.
We've seen, now, obviously, that team didn't have Sabonis and didn't have Monk. I think it's nice that Monk's going to be kind of given the keys to the castle a little bit to run the show. I really like Malik Monk, but yeah, it's going to be interesting.
It's 5 talented guys, though.
Oh yeah, they have a great starting 5. They're not very deep. Keon is
right.
Outside of there's not much bench production
Lyles
at the moment.
Lyles and Keon.
Yeah, Lyles is solid. Valanciunas will contribute.
Oh, he's gigantic.
Yeah,
he's the guy that I think. Wait, this wasn't us who talked about. Did we talk about what are the Kings missing the need? And I mentioned a Robin Lopez type.
Yeah,
he's actually that was a separate trade or signing.
Yeah.
That's so big for us.
Yeah.
Because we don't really have a true 4. I want to say Keenan's our 4. He's really more of a stretch 3. So we could even see Valanciunas end up kind of starting.
You might.
running him and Sabonis at the same time.
He's just not he's a very skilled offensive player. He's not really an enforcer. Like, he's not really a phenomenal rim protector that blocks a lot of shots. So that's the one thing about him. But I do think he'll contribute and score, no doubt. He's done that his whole career.
We have a lot of scores.
DeMar has really played well, too, over the last couple weeks. He's gone off. His little step through to hit the game winner the other night was super clutch. That was a game they couldn't lose, and he came through. So, yeah, give him some credit, man, for stepping up.
All I'll say is it's a fun team that I enjoy watching, and at this point, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting any playoff runs. As long as I'm getting my money's worth for my YouTube TV, we're good to go. The pressure isn't too high. I actually would feel a little more, if I was you, I'd be like, we can really do this.
Yeah, maybe.
So, the letdown, there's a letdown factor for you, that I don't have to skip.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, I feel like it's so hard in the West to make up any ground.
Seriously.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm not so optimistic that we can get to a 6th seed. The way the season's gone, and I understand it's a little different now with Butler in the fold, but the way that it's gone, it's just like so up and down, and they're just hovering around 500, and so many of these other teams are, and the Warriors are in the middle of a super long road trip, and it's just it's just hard to string together a lot of wins for a lot of these teams when you play in this conference and the way the schedule is.
They have championship pedigree.
They do.
All you have to do is start going on a run, which is what the NBA is. It's a game of runs. We say it's so hard to climb the West, but look, the Kings were a 3 seed 2 years ago. The Grizzlies are a 2 seed this year. Like, it is, but there's always room for a run no matter what.
Yeah. There's just only, 35, 40 games left? Not even?
It's a 35 or 40 that I am very excited about.
It's a sprint right now. Sprint to the finish.
Tune in Wednesday or Thursday. AC Sports Podcast on YouTube. I'm going to be doing my homework and sending Ross Google Docs. No. I did it. I've done it, okay? Don't let me tell you that I've done it.
No, you have.
But, it's I'm just so excited to follow basketball, maybe closer than I've ever followed it, to be honest, at least league-wide, to really get the chops going. What is it? Your chops up? What's the idiom? Your chops something? Hone your chops? I don't know.
One of these shows, okay, like it's obvious that I know coming in today that we're going to talk about the Super Bowl, right? So it's not like, even if I don't get like a little bit of a rundown, like I know what we're going to talk about. But one of these shows, you have to promise me that we're talking about something totally off the cuff that I have no idea.
Okay.
Like, instead of like coming in talking the Super Bowl, you're going to be like, bro, what do you think about the Nations Cup going on right now in the National Hockey League?
Oh, NHL.
Yeah, or something. You see, I'm kind of being facetious and joking
I like
a little
it.
bit, but
look, I'll get to work on the template. Okay.
No.
We're rewriting the whole template. Look, templates aren't as easy as you think, okay?
I can't believe you got sponsored by Pepsi too.
We
in the meantime,
we did. Thanks to Pepsi for sponsoring us. I just closed escrow on a house in
congratulations,
in San Francisco. Yeah, with this
ballin'.
We're doing well, AC Sports.
I'm surprised you didn't talk to me about Kendrick, man. Greatest halftime show.
Can I close? Can I do 5 minutes to close?
Yeah, dude. Samuel.
Okay,
dude.
Let me see if I can remember half of what there is to talk about. So Sam Jackson comes out, right, playing Uncle Sam.
Yeah, perfect.
What he says, though, first what I want to say is that there's a history of what's called a minstrel show in America. Are you familiar with the minstrel show? So it was like...
Educate me.
It was... This is where blackface came from, essentially.
Oh, shit,
so you'd get like white actors paint their faces black and kind of act black on TV. Always sing-songy, dancey, right? Kind of early kind of fulfillment of stereotypes. Post-slavery, but pre-Jim Crow. So this is like the 20s and 30s, right? So TV and film is still like, it's like a new thing. This is like the introduction to kind of blackness to film, right?
Yeah.
So in one sense, it shows where we kind of get these kind of like stereotypes, like where this is what black people can do, right? Mm-hmm. They can dance for you and they can sing. And it wasn't even, the irony, of course, is that it wasn't even black actors because they wouldn't be allowed to come on set. So you get people like Al Jolson, like Jewish or Christian or whatever, that would play black actors. Then that kind of segues into kind of the Uncle Tom prototype or stereotype, where it's like it is a black actor, but they're still kind of playing at the subservience of the white man.
Yeah.
Right. Sam Jackson, not coincidentally, played a character like this in Django Unchained, right? Where he is like, you have like the house slave, basically like kind of the leader of the slaves, the black guy that does everything the master wants.
Right.
That plays into Sam Jackson playing this role too. When he says, "Hey America, it's your uncle, Sam," he paused to say like, "I am the Uncle Tom also in this equation," like, right? I'm the black man speaking for the white master, right? So that's brilliant. And then the way that he kind of spells out the show, it's like he would honestly, some people, I think academic people are like, this is too blatant the way he's spelling it out. But most Americans need things that spelled out like this for them. So he was kind of walking us through on like how to play the game, right? The American game. The stage is a PlayStation controller.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a prison yard in the middle of the control station, right? So there's two metaphors for control right there, right? We have the prison control. The 13th Amendment is something that there's a great documentary by Ava DuVernay called 13th, where it basically like legalizes modern day slavery, where it's like, even where we see like prison firefighters going out and working these fires and like they don't get paid anything. It's like, it's a way to get kind of free labor, right? As long as they're imprisoned, it's a way to keep people out of the system as long as they're felons, right? Yeah. Which is why when you get higher rates of black people in prisons, it affects them for the rest of their life because they basically become second-class citizens even in 2025.
Keep educating.
So we have the controller, right? A little thing I caught was that he did this cheat code at the beginning of it that gives you like unlimited armor or something in some game.
Code,
yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, it was.
But also, obviously Drake and Not Like Us is tied in heavily to all of this, right? Yeah. He played basically the GNX album when there's a lot of conversation and controversy about that, which is his newest album, not full of his hits, right? He basically stuck to that album.
Yeah, it was interesting.
It's the Not Like Us album, essentially. But Control is the song that started all this off when Kendrick came out, not just to Drake, but other rappers. And it was a kind of friendly hip hop thing, but Drake's the only one that took it personally. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. It was back in 2013. So we have the controller, we have the control with the prison yard, and then we have the song Control, where all this really started. That really kind of flipped the switch, and Kendrick